Yeah. So she will present her work, and then if there will be any questions, so I will probably help her with translating and answering them.
Okay, that would be nice. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Big Cat Conservation Biology Seminar
She will
series.
present her work, and then if there will be any questions, so I will probably help her.
Okay. We will start in a minute. The seminar is online, and we will only open the video for speakers and discussion panel because we worried about the internet traffic. Many participants from the world is participating. Sorry about that. Okay. This Big Cat Conservation Biology Seminar series is supported by the Ministry of Environment, Republic of Korea, and also supported by the Convention on Biological Diversity, and also partially from Everland Resort in South Korea. This is the third seminar totaling of the 4 seminar series, and the next week we will have the final seminar on conservation genetics. Today's theme is human big cats coexistence, learning from experience. We have presenters from Bangladesh, Russia, and South Korea. Mr. Nimar Kumar Paul from Bangladesh. Are you there? Hi, Dr. Paul. Okay, he's there. And we have Ms. Ekaterina Blitenko from Russia. Hi.
Yes.
Okay, she's there. And Dr. Anya Lim from South Korea.
Hello.
Anya? Hi. And also there is 3 discussion panels. Dr. Anya Lim will speak and also serve as a discussion panel. And Mr. Hong Seomun, are you there? Okay. Hong Seomun is in NIBR, National Institute of Biological Research. And Ms. Dina Machkina, are you there? Okay. Ms. Dina work in Land of Leopard National Park in Russia and serve as senior research scientist. Okay, the first presenter is Mr. Nimar Kumar Paul, and he works as a forestry officer, Bangladesh Forest Department, and he has been a long time working as forest management and wildlife management in Bangladesh, and he has a forestry bachelor's degree in University of Chittagong, and also Master of Science in Forest Management from Technical University of Dresden in Germany. Mr. Paul, are you ready?
Yeah.
Could you share your slide?
Slide share for you.
His title would be The Tiger Human conflict resolution in Bangladesh.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, may I start now?
Slide shared?
Yeah.
I cannot see the slide. Can you do it again?
Yeah. Let me check.
Should I share for you? I cannot do it. Sorry. I missed introducing the co-moderator. I myself is Dr. Hang Lee from Seoul National University in the Republic of Korea. This seminar is co-chaired by Dr. Punit Pandey from Seoul National University, and he has based in India also. Okay, I can see now. Okay, could you start?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, dear organizer and distinguished participants, good afternoon. In the beginning, I pay my wholehearted respect to our father of nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. This year we are celebrating centennial of the great leader. Today I will share my country experience on tiger-human conflict resolution. I will first introduce you to the Sundarbans, and then we'll discuss about its tiger status, causes of tiger-human conflicts, different initiatives taken by the government to minimize the conflicts, its challenges, way forward, and lesson learned. Royal Bengal tiger is the flagship species of Sundarbans. It is our national animal and the emblem of Bangladesh cricket board. Tiger is the symbol of courage and part of our culture and heritage. You know, Sundarban is the world's largest natural mangrove forest. It is a transboundary forest between Bangladesh and India. Total area of Sundarban is about 10,000 square kilometers, of which Bangladesh possesses 6,017 square kilometers. This forest represents 4.2% geographical area of our country and 44% government forest. The forest is rich in biodiversity with 528 plant species and 1136 animal species. There is no human settlement inside the Sundarbans, but over 3.5 million people living around this forest depend on its ecosystem services for their livelihoods. About 30% area of Sundarban is water body in the form of a small creek, canal, and river. So it is a big wetland and was declared as Ramsar Site in 1992. Moreover, due to its magnificent natural beauty and outstanding universal value, the Sundarban was declared as UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. It is the last remaining habitat of Bengal tigers in Bangladesh. A conflict is a clash of interest. When the common resources are shared by two or more users, conflict may arise. In our case, when people enter in the Sundarbans for resource collection or a state tiger come out, the forest conflict arises. Tiger is absolutely a territorial animal. Sometimes young tigers in search of new territories leave the forest and enter the human settlements. Tiger-human conflict is one of the major threats to the tiger conservation in Bangladesh. That results state tiger killing, loss of human life and livestock. Usually human is killed by tigers inside the Sundarbans, and tiger is killed by human in the villages around the Sundarbans when they attack domestic animals. Tiger-human conflict is a century-old problem in Bangladesh. In the last century, annually 29 human killing and 10 tiger killing was recorded. But in this century, this number has reduced considerably. Human killing is 10 and tiger killing is less than 1 per year. Tiger-human conflict cannot be stopped, but can be reduced. Year-wise, tiger-human conflict during the last 20 years is shown in this table. We see tiger-human conflict has reduced considerably in the recent years. What are the causes of conflict reduction? Maybe the number of tiger has reduced, or human entrance in Sundarban has reduced, or different initiatives taken by government to minimize tiger-human conflicts. Let us discuss one by one. The number of tigers in the Sundarbans have been estimated several times. The lowest number was found 100 in 1967 by Mount Ford of World Wildlife Fund, and the highest number was found 440 in 2004 by Bangladesh Forest Department, which was estimated in collaboration with India. Last time in 2018, we found 114 tigers in Sundarbans by camera trapping. Different methods are used in different times for tiger estimation. So it is difficult to make a comparison and say that the number of tigers in Sundarban had reduced. But if we consider the present perspective and global trend, the answer may be yes. People enter in Sundarban to collect nipa leaves, honey, fish, crab, shrimp fry, fuel wood, and timber, and for tourism. At present, no permission is given for shrimp fry, fuel wood, and timber collection. Non-timber forest produces collected from Sundarban since 2001 is shown in these figures. We see fishing in Sundarban is increasing, crab collection is increasing, but nipa leaves collection is decreasing. Again, honey and wax collection is increasing. Tourism is also flourishing. Nowadays, people make a paka building. Hence, use of thatching materials has reduced. So it is clear that people entrance in Sundarban has not reduced. The most probable cause of tiger-human conflict reduction may be the different initiatives taken by our government, like formation of village tiger response team, forest tiger response team, emergency tiger response team, giving compensation to the tiger victims, and adopting awareness building programs. To rescue the tiger attacked people, one forest tiger response team was formed in Satkhira forest range where most incident happened. And one emergency tiger response team was formed in divisional headquarters to rescue the stray tigers. Village tiger response team were formed in the villages adjacent to the Sundarbans. The goal of VTRT formation was to develop a sustainable community-based organization to support and participate in the tiger conservation activities in Sundarban. And the main objective was to develop community-level capacity to reduce the revenge killing of tiger and manage tiger-human conflict incidents inside the villages. Several years ago, there was no efficient response to the problem of tiger-human conflicts. So, to solve the problem, initiative was taken to form VTRT in 2007. VTRT is a voluntary participatory, representative, and community-driven institution. In the beginning, 2 village tiger response teams were formed under Chatpai Forest Range. Those 2 teams immediately got acceptance by the local people due to their capacity of handling tiger incidents in their villages. The success story of these 2 groups motivated people of other villages to establish more BTRT. Till today, 49 BTRT holding 340 members, including 20 women, have been formed, covering 80% of the border villages. Among the BTRT members, 80 are youth and 260 are adult, of which 45% are from influential group of the community. As a voluntary organization, BTRT never gets any monetary benefit of their services, but they get love and respect of the society. When BTRT members receive information about a stray tiger, they immediately convey the message to other team members and also to the nearest forest office. As soon as possible, all the BTRT members come to the stray tiger site and control the mob to prevent retaliation against the tiger. They assess whether or not the tiger can be scared away. If it can be scared away, they send the tiger back to the forest by beating the ground with the sticks and making sound. But if the situation is not suitable enough for this action, they call emergency tiger response team to tranquilize and relocate the tiger safely. They try to control the situation until the team arrives. The capacity of BTRT has been increased through training, establishing connectivity with other response teams, and giving support to improve operational procedure. Sustainability of BTRT has been ensured by incorporating them with co-management organizations like Village Conservation Forum and community patrolling groups. For the participatory management of the Sundarbans, we have formed 4 co-management committees in 4 forest ranges. Village Conservation Forum and community patrolling group work under the guidance of co-management committee. These groups also play a vital role in tiger-human conflict resolution. After its formation, BTRT successfully managed 30 stray tiger incidents and sent them back to the forest. They effectively facilitated the emergency tiger response team to rescue and set free 3 stray tigers. They recovered 27 dead bodies of tiger victims and also provided emergency first aid to 7 people injured from tiger attacks. They rescued more than 352 wild animals and released them in the forest, and thus contributed maintaining the ecosystem health of the Sundarban. They conducted about 3,000 village meetings to raise awareness of the community for tiger conservation. Apart from this, BTRT helped Forest Department to manage 12 fire incidents in the Sundarban. BTRT were featured and highlighted in different national and international print and electronic media for their outstanding contribution in tiger conservation. The concept of tiger response team has been adopted in our elephant and dolphin conservation. The BTRT model has been replicated in Indonesia for Sumatran tiger conservation. Bangladesh government also recognized BTRT as a community-based voluntary organization in nature conservation and bestowed the prestigious National Award for Wildlife Conservation in 2017. Compensation policy for wildlife victims 2012 plays an important role to prevent agitated people from tiger killing. Under this policy, Taka 100,000 is given for death case, Taka 50,000 is given to the injured person, and substantive amount is given for livestock or property damage. Till today, Taka 5.2 million has been distributed among tiger victims. We arrange different awareness building programs like potchons, meeting, procession, rally, oath-taking ceremony, etc. for mass motivation. We form Bagbandhu, that is Tiger Friends involving community leaders, and Tiger Scout involving students, which have been instrumental in bringing about a positive attitudinal change towards tigers among the communities. Training on capturing and immobilizing tiger was given to 30 Forest Department officials to increase their capacity. Training was also given to the local people, particularly the forest resource collectors, regarding safety measures and first aid. Government initiatives to involve people in forest and wildlife conservation started during the end of the first decade and beginning of the second decade of this century. After these government initiatives, tiger-human conflict has reduced considerably and tiger population has increased. If we make a comparison between the two decades of this century, we see in the running decade, human death reduced 60 from 149 and tiger killing reduced to 2 from 12. According to the earlier survey in 2015, a total of 106 tiger were estimated in Sundarban, but that number has increased to 114 in the last survey of 2018. The challenges we are facing that there is no dedicated staff for wildlife divisions. The trained skilled staffs are transferred to other forest divisions that makes communication gap with VTRT. Moreover, most of the wildlife management activities are performed under project. So at the end of the project, continuity of the program is interrupted. However, a new tiger conservation project is in the pipeline. In this project, there are some components for tiger-human conflict mitigation, as for example, installation of 60-kilometer nylon fencing along the land boundary of Sundarbans, habitat development for tiger, capacity building of forest department staffs for tiger conservation, organizing VTRT, BCF, CPG, and CMO, and arrange alternate livelihood options for the tiger victim families. Finally, we can say tiger-human conflict was one of the major threats to the tiger conservation in Bangladesh. Different government initiatives have been successfully minimized tiger-human conflict, especially VTRT played the key role. The VTRT demonstrates that wildlife conservation is not only government's duty, rather it is everyone's responsibility. A cadre of skilled, permanent, and dedicated staff is required for wildlife division to run these activities sustainably. And regular flow of fund is indispensable for the continuity of the tiger conservation. Thank you everybody for patient hearing. If you have any question or point of discussion, please ask me if the organizer permits. Otherwise, place it in the comment box or mail me. I will answer you later on. Thank you once again. Stay safe. May God save us. Thank you.
Please
Hi.
unmute.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's very enlightening story. Human-tiger conflict can be resolved, encouraging. Thank you for your timekeeping. Because of time limit, I think we go forward, and then please leave your questions. Audiences can leave questions in chatting board, and we will deal with the questions later. Okay, and next speaker is Ekaterina Blichenko from Russia. She is working in Land of Leopard National Park at this time as a researcher. And she was born in Moscow, actually, and educated at the Moscow State Academy. And she worked on the wolf reintroduction and other ecology of wolves. And also he moved to Far Eastern Russia and worked in Trongo Center Tiger, and now in Land of Leopard. Ms. Ekaterina, are you ready?
Huh? Yes.
Okay. Our topic will be tiger and leopard reputation and reintroduction cases from Russia. Okay. Can you share your...
Hello, my name is Ekaterina Blichenko. I'm research in Land of Leopard National Park. Дина, можно попросить, что у меня немножко другая тема, а не та, которую сейчас объявили, потому что конфликтные ситуации и реабилитация.
Dina.
Okay. Dina.
Open.
Title of my report is It Possible to Live in Harmony with Big Cats? An example of resolving conflict situation in Russia. We can always choose the patch.
Катя, извини, пожалуйста, презентацию не видно. То есть у тебя только рабочий стол. Открой, пожалуйста.
Так, я просто вижу презентацию, что мне сделать? А сейчас видно?
Can anyone see Katya's presentation?
No, I can't.
Не видно?
Нет, не видно.
Так, а что мне сделать?
Так, а у тебя там в каком режиме она открыта?
У меня открыта презентация полностью. Я ее вижу как... У меня демонстрация экрана и видна презентация.
Мы просто рабочий стол видим, что вот
иконки... If it is needed, I can share the presentation of her, but you need to tell me when to change the slide.
Тебе предлагают, чтобы если у тебя сейчас не получается, они могут загрузить твою презентацию, которую ты им отправляла, и ты будешь говорить, когда менять слайды. Так пойдет?
Сейчас. Хорошо, давайте, да, сейчас. Да, Вань. Угу. Так. Сейчас что видно?
Только рабочий стол.
Так. Ну, сейчас запустит, да? Получается, что...
Sorry, Dr. Pandey, could you please share the screen with the Ekaterina's presentation?
Sure. I'll share.
Thank you. Катя, тогда, когда тебе нужно будет поменять слайд, ты просто говори следующий там и будет.
Just give me a moment. I'll share. Professor Hang, will it be possible to start Dr. Anya's presentation Meanwhile, I'll just make it comfortable for Katrina.
Is that okay?
Катя, предлагаю сейчас другую
Why
презентацию
not?
запустить, а ты следующую будешь.
Хорошо, хорошо.
Sure, then
Okay.
let me share screen.
Okay. Then Dr. Anya Lim, could you go present first?
Sure. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see.
Lovely. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Probably some of you, good to see you again since last week. And I'll bring you to 2 different countries for this time. First, I'll bring you to Laos, and then I'll briefly explain about attitude toward the big cats in South Korea, one by one. Probably I don't need to explain this a lot. Human-tiger conflict comes from in different forms. Maybe tiger comes and people feel frightened, and then that is called a slight or light conflict. But sometimes can be very serious, like injured or death by death of the people by tigers. And normally it results in the death of tigers. And it's happening probably most of the tiger ranges country, including the Laos. It was my PhD research site called the Namepulue National Park. At that time, it was a national protected area, but it converted into national park in 2017. Namepulue National Park is very famous for the biodiversity, especially a variety of cat species, including tigers, marble cats, and clouded leopards. And unlike Sundarban, which has no human settlement within the nature reserve, in Laos, they do have human settlements quite a lot, and not even humans, but also cattle, as you can see. And it's not very accidental, it's almost for sure when there's livestock in tiger home range, and there's a livestock depredation by tigers. But problem is cattle or buffalo is really expensive. At that time, the annual income for capita in Laos was just above 300 USD. But one cattle is over $500 and one buffalo is over $800. So losing one cattle or buffalo means really a lot and destroy the household economy. And voila, it's natural. Then people hunt tigers, not only as for the retaliation for the livestock depredation, but also tiger is valuable. By that time, one whole tiger was about $50,000 US. That means it's a jackpot for the local livelihood. And furthermore, when there is a livestock depredation, people are not really sure whether it is by tigers or other carnivores, such as Asiatic wild dog called dogs. Why? Because it is very difficult to investigate, especially during the rainy season. And the road becomes so muddy because of a flood. And when the investigation team approach it to the kill site, it's already rotten or gone. So it's almost nearly impossible to arrive on time and can identify who is the killer. And also, although tigers are very strictly protected animal in Laos by law, however, there's a rumor and there's also actual incident that tigers are poached by local people. And then, as I said, there are people within the protected area, but it's not legal, but it's not illegal either, because there is a conflict of a regulation between the national park and agricultural management. By the agricultural department, they have a right to cultivate crops or raise livestock there, or even live there. But by the NPA law, you cannot live nor raise livestock there. And furthermore, there's no enough place for grazing around the human settlement. And even more basic reason why there is depredation, because they are living in the tiger range, in the tiger's home range. And there is a speculation, there is a big speculation there. Actually, do local people prefer grazing area where carnivores and prey are in close proximity, so they can hunt tigers or prey species? And then that question was quite simple. However, it's quite difficult to answer, because it is a very sensitive topic. If I go and ask, do you want to kill tiger, or do you want to kill somebody? And people say no, because illegal. They all know it's illegal. However, they do, and I need to figure out whether it is really happening or not. So I brought up the novel method called the vignette experiment. Vignette is a kind of a short description or story of a unit that explain the characteristics. And vignette experiment is using those vignettes and determine the judgment or belief of people by seeing those for these hypothetical scenarios. And what is good? What vignette experiment? Probably most of you never heard of it, but why we need to use it? Because it's of a degree of a uniformity. When you ask, when you do the survey, there are like 20 questions or 30 questions. They are the same question. However, people might feel the difference. So when you ask, do you prefer living here or there? Some people kind of may be perceived as one way, while the other people perceive the actual meaning the other way. However, vignette experiment is show actual scenario, so everyone get the same idea, same kind of stories. And also avoid the bias comes from self-reporting, because people already speculate what is going on. So when I ask, do you want to kill tiger? Probably most of 90% people would say no. And then what vignette experiment is about the hypothetical scenario. It's not about your experience. So can have a more avoid this self-reporting bias. And due to those two reasons, it's a quite effective approach for the sensitive topics by being indirect. It's a hypothetical, not your situation. So it is quite widely used in clinical trial or criminal. So if there's a mental issue and people are quite shy or not comfortable with telling their stories, vignette experiment has been used to approach those peoples. And vignette experiment can have a complexity, which means it has a various kind of a story which is related to closer to the reality. And lastly, it has a diverse format. It can be as a kind of a short description by the text, or it can be conveyed as a video, or it can be conveyed as pictures, or yeah, anything, cartoons, or anything you can think of. In my case, I had I came up with 5 different factors. These factors will comes from the pilot interview to the local people. They actually listed those 3 items as important to the grazing. So quality of grass in the grazing area and distance between the agricultural land and the grazing area, and the distance between the village and the grazing area. Those are the 3 components came from the villagers. And we put 2 components which I would like to ask. First was the distance between prey and grazing area, and distance between carnivores and grazing areas. It's just a 2-level: poor, good, near, or distance, and have 5 factors. It's just 5 factors with 2 levels. However, it can create 32 different stories. This is the example. Like at that time, it was 2012 when I actually did this survey. And people were not very familiar with the actual photos, and there's no electricity most of the time, except the rainy season. So I use the drawings or sketches, and that drawing is done by local students, and we tested to the local people, and they perceived very well. They recognize well it is a doll and tigers and the moonshek and hare, buffalo, and the cornfield and villages. So everything was well perceived, and we made 32 different stories with these pictures and show to the local people. And we only targeted adults over 18 years old who actually raise cattle and buffaloes in the grazing areas and around the core zone of the national park, because we only selected this group to identify whether they are related to tiger poaching. And the people are not very familiar with the numbers. Like if we ask from 0 to 10, pick up the number, how you feel about this fact, then people would never answer. That's why to make to help people's decision, we use these scale bars. Unhappy face to the happy face, and we let them point which parts you would feel, and then later we measure and convert into the ranking and rating system, and we do the multi-level analysis. But I won't go further about this analysis method. The result is quite simple. It was people actually prefer the long distance between the agricultural area and the grazing area. However, they would love to be close to the village, and then they also tend to avoid the carnivores, and they really like to have prefer to have a good quality of grass. However, there is one thing. This slope for the carnivore has a quite large range compared with the other factors. That means some people actually would feel better to have carnivores close to their grazing areas. So in general, through this vignette experiment, we actually found out local herders actually tend to avoid large carnivores in general. However, due to this large standard deviation, show some actually herder group would indeed prefer carnivores closer to their grazing areas. That kind of emphasize our speculation. People use use their livestock to catch tigers. And proximity to prey was not very important. It was not very significant. So they don't care whether prey species are near or far from their grazing area. So people do not mind about the competition between prey species with their livestock. But most importantly, people are so eager to have a good quality of a grass. That was an outstanding key factor there. So all these conclusions come around to solve these, to make people happy while reducing the conflict, improving the quality of the grass in the grazing area is really important. And since people tend to avoid large carnivores, we can encourage them to raise a livestock near to village to prevent livestock loss. And also for the people who has some intention to approach to the carnivores, we should maintain the strong law enforcement. That was the conclusion. And this conclusion conveyed to the National Park Service. Now I'll abruptly switch it to the Korea. And then there we had a very little tiny focus group interview to the Korean villagers in around the Korean demilitarized zone. Why we chose? This is the kind of a potential habitat from the analysis. And as you can see, the Korean around the Korean demilitarized zone is identified as a kind of a good habitat for tigers. And here is the location of the villages. So after the interview, we received the different kind of answers about when we ask about the general wildlife around them. Some people show some positive positions, like weasels are quite beneficial by removing rats while not damaging property. And Asian badgers, it's good for health, so it's good. And goral, Amur goral, is a symbol of county. And the martens eat water deer, so it's good. However, most of people tend to have a negative attitude toward the wildlife. Some people said there's no benefit at all having wildlife around them. And especially water deer are ruthless animal with the innocent face. And the population of a wild boar and the water deer increase a lot and destroy crops and fruits in a great amount. So it's really, really high, kind of for them, it's a harmful and more negative attitude. And they said wildlife do not afraid of humans anymore. So when villagers approach it to the deer or water deer or wild boar, they do not escape much. And the wild cats are useless, like they don't catch the rats. So, and they are fed and can something like that. And martens have both good and negative side. One was good for killing water deer. However, on the other hand, they also attack beehives, so it's not good. And leopard cat and raccoon dogs are not really good because they are killing chickens. And especially people express very negative feelings about to the wild boar and the water deer. Then we switch it the topic. We showed these pictures to local people and asked them, what are these? There's a very interesting result. Guess what? Most of the people we surveyed, we interviewed 4 villages, and except 1 villages, the 3 villagers attending the interview didn't distinguish between leopard and tigers. They recognized fox, they recognized wolves. Most of them don't know about lynx. And they say tigers to the tiger and tigers to the leopard. And for that, in old times of Korea, we call both species as bum. That could be the one reason. And we ask, what do you think about that? And some people says some positive attitude. They can reduce the number of wild boar and water deer, so it could be good, and that can be an indicator of a good, healthy ecosystem. Also, they are the pride of the nation, so they have a positive roles. However, they showed also concerns, too afraid to go to the forest if they are around. And some says, no, they don't see any benefits from them. And most of them say scary, and it can hurt people, and it can hurt pets or livestock. And even some participants think tigers still exist in South Korea nowadays as well. So we were asking, then what if they come back? Then also there's a pro and cons. Like for the positive, some people expressed that actually one village was quite positive to having them. What if after we explained tigers and leopard are quite different, and leopard are much smaller, and in Russia, leopard never hurt people. And after heard this explanation, they said if there's no harm to people, then they would welcome having tigers or leopard in their backyard, which can help to manage tiger, the wild boar and the water deer numbers. And also in the cultural or in economic part, they were welcomed because they think if they have tigers or leopard, that their township will be famous. But there is also strong negative feelings, reactions. Some says no matter what, they don't want to see tigers or leopard on their backyard. And there's also interesting part. Some says that they not only eat the water deer and wild boar, but also corals. Coral is also a class 1 endangered species in South Korea, so they actually do care about corals. And there is another interesting opinions, and some people even worry about the reintroduced tigers or leopard, like whether they were concerned whether they would be poached by people. So those are the reactions from people. And the South Korea lost the tigers over almost 100 years, and leopard for over 50 years. And the people quite have a mixed feeling. But I personally accepted these as a good point because they're all people having a quite positive attitude toward those large cats. And we can, but through reviewing those negative reaction, we can prepare we can prepare, we know what we need to prepare. So we can emphasize there is no harm or less harm if you are well behaved and appropriately behave, and there is a compensation and there's a positive role to control the ecosystem, then probably those people who have a negative opinion can have a potential to change it to positive. Okay, these are my two short stories, and then thanks to the listed organizations can enable to do this research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Anya Lim. Sorry about the inconvenience. Dr. Anya Lim was not introduced because of emergency. She she worked as a program officer for WCS China program in 2007 to 2009, and did her PhD at the University of Wisconsin Madison. I think your presentation is based on the research in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Okay. And she now is working as a team leader in National Institute of Ecology in the Research Center for Endangered Species. Because of time limit, Ms. Ekaterina, are you ready?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Probably we need to go ahead very fast. Dina, it's okay? Okay, Dina will translate her presentation. Dr. Pendy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
So should I share the presentation, or Katrina, you'll share your presentation?
Катя, ты сможешь сейчас попробовать свою презентацию еще раз попробовать экран, поделиться экраном?
Сейчас я попробую.
Okay, seems showing up.
Сейчас видно у меня презентацию?
Презентацию не видно, видно только рабочий стол и список папок и документов на нем, к сожалению.
It's not working.
Okay, I'll share the presentation. That will be better.
Катя, и тогда будет ведущий презентацию твою включит, когда тебе нужно будет поменять слайд, просто скажи, говори next.
Хорошо. Спасибо.
Okay, good. It's working.
Now I have shared your presentation. You can tell me when to change this slide.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ekaterina Blichenko. I am a researcher in Land of Leopard National Park. Title of my report is "It's possible to live in harmony with big cats," an example of resolving conflict situation in Russia. Next, please. We can always choose the path. Next. We can distinguish three groups of factors that affect the occurrence of conflict situation. Anthropogene factor, incorrect human behavior in the habitat of big cats, natural factors. Next, please. The term conflict situation in our understanding. Human-tiger conflict, loss of life or injury of a person or their property resulting from tiger-human interaction. detection of on animal ensemble of an independent extents in the wild. Next, please. A bit of history. Professional resolution of conflict situation between people and rare big cats begin in Russian on 3994 for the purpose of which the special spectral tiger was carried. Next, please. Science 2012, the investigation and resolution of the conflict situation between humans and big cats in Primorsky region is overseen by the Minister of Forestry and Wildlife Protection. For that purpose, the conflict resolution task force was created. Next, please. On the territory of the Land of Leopard National Park, privation of human wildlife conflict occurs directly with the participation of park employee in collaboration with specialist organization. Next, please. All funding for the resolution on prevention of conflict situation for which really on specially credit funds by the decree of the President of Russian Federation. Next, please. We distinguish 4 categories on conflict risk. The most danger groups. In the first category, an attack on people. Minimum concern for category, detector of tracks in a village by every situation, requesting investigation. Next, please. In our country, we don't know observe leopard attack on human. As for the tiger attack on people, cats are very rare. Investigation of situation have shown that most after tiger attack people very injured. The most common type of conflict in attack are pets. Next, please. This is slide illustration the dynamic of conflict situation during the period under review. On the map, different color indicate the territory which conflict situation must observe occurrent. Area with the maximum number of situations are marked in red, and individual case are marked with dots. Next, please. The next slide show 2 graph on for the number of tiger killed by poachers. In the second case, a tiger attack in people is marked in yellow. Please, next, please. Decision-making process for resolving a conflict situation. All decisions are made by an expert group. Next, please. Each conflict situation which a different category of danger in the state and all information entered in a special report of the conflict situation. Many conflicts can be excluded if are in the prevention of conflict situation is necessary to conduct a constant dialogue with people living the habitat of big cats. Is it necessary to make checks on farm to give a recommendation on keeping pets? It is necessary to give people contact of organization that deal with conflict situation. Next, please. One of the important aspects of solving problems between humans and predators is the payments of compensation, but it's necessary to establish clear rules of which compensation will be carried out. Next, please. Conflict situation occur very years, and it's not yet possible to stop this process completely. But it's important to in approach that allows you to save each individual. For this purpose, a Tiger Rehabilitation Center, which was built since 2012, we have been able to preserve all rare cats change from the wild. On most of the animal can be released back in the wild after a rehabilitation course. Next, please. Results of animals extraction from the wild or cubs animal which abdominal behavior all and injure animals. Next, please. The rehabilitation center consists of a complex of enclosures and room. They have their own functional. Next, please. The animals rehabilitation cycle begin from the moment is removing from the wild, veterinary examination and they're in a quarantine period, after which an animal is prepared for release in large rehabilitation enclosure before the final veterinary examination and release in the wild. On average, rehabilitation of the tiger takes on half years. Next, please. First study veterinary and biological examination. Next. The observation in the quarantine room. Next, please. The second stage enclosure training in hunting killers and other aspects of behavior. Next, please. An important aspect of rehabilitation, all work which the animal take place remove. Next, please. Last final veterinary examination and release into the wild. Next, please. Since 2012, 12 tigers have been released. Next, please. 2 leopards were rescued and took part in the rare species breeding program. Next, please. Next, please. Applying the necessary now to remove conflict situation can save many lives. Next, please. Basically, it seems the only where humans are willing to make the necessary adjustments to coexist with the wildlife. Next, please. The main organization solving the problems, the Amur tiger and leopard in Russia. Thank you. Next, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot. It's really encouraging. We have both presentations from 3 presentations from Bangladesh and Russia and from Korea, but a story in Southeast Asia. So we have stories from the Tiger Range at the far left, west side and east side. It's encouraging to hear that in both extreme sides have recovery and conflict resolution plan. Okay, now we can have some discussions, even though we only have 20 minutes. Because of time limit, I would like give opportunity for a panel, just one question or comment. Sorry about that. Dr. Anya Lim, could you give some input?
Wow, it's quite sad. I wrote 4 questions, but I have to pick one.
Okay.
Okay, I'll pick my second question. Because the tiger numbers dropped from 200 to 114 by camera trap analysis. And what is the cause of this drop? Is it from the poaching or is it from the human tiger conflict there? That's to the Mr. Paul.
Okay.
And to the Miss Katrina, you said that there is a seasonality of conflict for tigers. And what does that mean? Is it due to the lack of prey during the winter time, or is it there are more hunters to hunt during the winter time, so have a more chance to encounter tigers and have the conflict?
Okay, Mr. Paul, could you answer first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in different time we have estimated our tigers in different methods, and we found different number. So we cannot compare the number with one estimation with other method. However, the number has increased, reduced a lot, but it's for different reason. Poaching may be one reason, and also tiger human conflict may be one reason also. And a couple of years ago, from Interpol, we got a report that there are 2 teams active for poaching in Sundarbans. After that, we have introduced smart patrolling in Sundarban. So I think at present there is no poaching incidents in Sundarban. But in different causes, natural causes or tiger and tiger human conflict, tiger is reducing. But you know, in the last couple of survey, we have seen that the number of tiger is increasing now. Last survey, the number was 106, and after 2 years, we got the number 114. And we plan to make another estimation in next year. Hopefully, it may be increased. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dina, could you answer the other question for Ms. Katerina?
Yes, sure. I'm not sure if Екатерина is here. Катя, если ты меня слышишь, отзовись, пожалуйста. Okay. Ты меня слышишь?
Да, слышу, да?
Да, вопрос заключается в том, в твоей презентации ты сказала, что в конфликтах с участием тигра проявляется некая сезонность, то есть тигры чаще зимой, конфликтные ситуации с тиграми случаются зимой. Чем ты это объясняешь? То есть это нехватка естественных, естественно, популяции жертв, да, копытных, они находятся в каком-то угнетенном состоянии зимой, да, либо это пресс со стороны охотников. Как бы ты ответила?
Здесь важную роль играют климатические условия. Бывает, когда очень сложные зимы для копытных и по каким-то причинам не хватает пищи, то тигры могут находить более легкие варианты пищи, которые находятся на окраинах деревень. Это как раз бродячие животные, домашние собаки, да, что очень часто привлекает животных. Летом корма более доступны, и, в принципе, если зимой с кормами никаких проблем нет, то конфликтов заметно меньше. Также это связано с сезоном охоты, который открыт зимой, и очень часто бывает, что конфликты именно с людьми происходят во время охоты, которую устраивают люди, во время загонов охоты. Поэтому, скорее всего, вот эти факторы влияют на то, что зимой конфликтов больше.
Ekaterina mentioned that the reason for increased number of human-target conflict in winter might be explained by the greater number of hunters in the forest during winter, because the hunting season for ungulates in Russia starts in November and ends in mid-January, and during that time we have a lot of hunters in our forests. And tigers might be injured by hunters. Another reason is that especially in harsh winters, when wild ungulate populations are stressed or there is mass mortality, tigers might frequent the settlements to search for feral dogs or cattle. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'd like to give Mr. Somon just one question or comment. Could you do that?
Yes. I think there is no border between border for wild animals like a big cat or any place. Any species. So I think historically India and Bangladesh was one country. So I think the habitat of the tigers is also connected with the range of the India. So is there sharing effort to conserve the tiger populations? And like Bangladesh, Russia also has there's some borders among North Korea or China. So is there co-works to improve the increase the tiger or leopard populations? Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's a good question. Mr. Paul, could you answer first? Okay.
I already mentioned that Sundarban is a transboundary forest, so we have a big boundary with India, and tigers of Sundarban move from one country to another country, and we have collaboration with India. We make communication with them, and also during the estimation of tiger, we communicate with India Wildlife Institute of India. They help us for wildlife estimation, especially in the tiger estimation.
Okay, that's good. What about situation in Russia? Dina, could you answer that question?
Could you please briefly say the question? What was the question once again?
Is there any cooperation between China, Russia or North Korea?
Катюш, были ли какие-нибудь случаи взаимодействия между Россией и соседними странами, Китай, Корея, в ситуациях с разрешением конфликтных ситуаций? Я помню, что был тигр, помеченный ошейником, который ходил в Китай, да, по-моему, и там в этом моменте было какое-то взаимодействие.
Да. После выпуска тигров, после второго выпуска тигров в 2013 году один из тигров пересек границу и попал на территорию Китая, и, скажем так, попал в не очень благоприятные условия климатические, когда не смог вернуться через Амур обратно. И он попал на остров, не помню, как называется, в Китае, где, в общем-то, отсутствовали естественные корма, и ему пришлось питаться тем, что он находил, либо китайские коллеги стали подкармливать его мясом, которое они привозили. И вот было такое взаимодействие, да, трансграничное по урегулированию этой ситуации. Вот. Но после того, как река замерзла, тигр вернулся на территорию России. К сожалению, это единственный тигр после выпуска, которого пришлось обратно изъять из дикой природы. Вот, поскольку он травмировался, когда пересекал границы, и на территории России уже не смог нормально охотиться и охотился на собак. Вот это был единственный такой случай, который был такой, скажем так, при международном сотрудничестве и разрешении этой ситуации.
Yeah, so there is one case when both Russia and China participate in conflict resolution. So in 2013, one conflict tiger was released in Russia, and he was it was radio-collared tiger, and so he crossed the Russia-China border and got stuck into the islands in the middle of Amur River. So, and because no wild natural prey on that island, so Chinese colleagues, so we sent the information to them. They found him and provided him with food, with meat, for several days. And after the Amur River were covered with ice, that tiger came back to Russia. And so this is just one case where we cooperate with China.
И еще дополнение, что все остальные тигры, которые пересекали после границу, у нас происходит всегда обмен информацией, где находится тигр, и со стороны китайской и с нашей происходит такой плотный мониторинг этого животного.
Yeah, so in the cases when our tigers, conflict tigers released in Russia across the border, we always communicate with Chinese colleagues and monitor those animals together.
Okay, that is very encouraging indication to China and Russia cooperate for the protection of tigers. Hope you have cooperation with North Korea in the future. Dr. Pendy, now could you take some questions from audience now?
Sure, there are many questions and a lot of praise about the presenters. So I'll take few questions. One question is to Mr. Nirmal. It's about how human-wildlife conflict can be controlled. Any specific method that work for all, in all developed nations. So actually, it's question about how best you can manage a conflict situation to make it minimum.
So I have already mentioned that we have to motivate people and we have to organize people so that they do not attack tiger or kill tiger when a stray tiger comes out. So we have formed many teams, voluntary teams around the forest, so that when the forest tiger comes out, they inform forest department. They try to send back to a forest, and if it not possible, then they inform us. So we tranquilize the tiger and send back it forest. So I think there is we have to involve people to save the tiger and send back in the forest.
Second question is both to Dr. Anya Lim as well as to Mr. Nirmal. Would isolation of local people away from the core forest zone reduce the impact of human-wildlife conflicts? First, Mr. Nirmal, then Dr. Lim.
Excuse me. Please.
Yeah. Would isolation of local people away from the core forest zone reduce impact of human-wildlife conflict? Relocation of human settlements.
I have mentioned that in Sundarban there is no settlement, human settlement inside the forest. So it is only people enter in the forest with permission to collect the forest resources. There is no human settlement inside forest. So the tiger attack that happen when people enter in the forest for resource collection, tiger attack them. Or sometimes if a stray tiger come out, then they attack tiger people or livestock. So there is no people inside the Sundarban. So there is no need of relocation the people outside the forest.
And Dr. Lim.
Oh, I was muted. Yeah, my answer is very similar to Dr. Paul. In Laos, it has quite conflicted results because if people are completely like relocated, complete means they don't go back to their old house for any reason, then conflict can be resolved because there's no contact. However, although people settlements are removed, they have their lands, they have their livestock within the core zone still. So they have this reason to go back and have the conflict. So it all depends on. However, if they have no contact at all, then of course there's no clue for the conflict.
Another question for Dr. Lim. If leopards are reintroduced in Korea, would not it create additional conservation problems for threatened competitors like leopard cat?
Leopard cat cannot be a competitor because it's a huge size difference. So once they are reintroduced, the leopard will be a top predator, apex consumer in South Korea. However, there could be a concern like attacking other endangered species. However, if you specifically ask for the leopard cat, then the distribution and that density is unestimated yet. However,
what you mentioned in your presentation about the problems related to the goral. So it's something like if you reintroduce a leopard, it may have some kind of a negative impact on the conservation status of other endangered species. So specifically the question is like that.
Yes or no, but for now, the other status of endangered mammals is quite promising for now. So I don't think the impact of reintroduction of leopard would be too much negative. However, we need to figure it out.
Right. Okay, another question. Does public awareness change the outlook of people of how they perceive these endangered species, and what are the challenges faced when public awareness programs are carried out? So this is a common question. I must say there is no specific mention to whom it is addressed for, but anyone can answer. So I'll request everyone. So how people perceive the public awareness campaigns when they are carried out? Positives, negatives?
It's also very difficult to answer because there are very extremely good cases, successful stories about the public awareness campaigns. but most of the campaigns were not extremely successful, especially like people. Those campaigns can maybe raise people's awareness. However, it is quite difficult to make people's attitude actually prone to changing the people's behavior is totally different idea and different regime. So
okay, for Katrina, like you have this Tiger Festival in Vladivostok, so that's a big campaign, I must say. So how much it has impacted the change in the people perception and reduction in the conflict resolution?
Катя, поняла вопрос или перевести?
Перевела, но лучше переведи, пожалуйста, чтобы я точнее ответила.
Да, там, в общем, спрашивают, сколько экопросвещение способно изменить ситуацию с конфликтными, с участием тигра. И, в частности, спрашивают, проводится большой ежегодный фестиваль тигра, да, все эти шествия и все такое. И насколько, на твой взгляд, это может в лучшую сторону повлиять на ситуацию с конфликтами?
Но, как правило, конфликты затрагивают небольшие населенные пункты, которые далеко от городов и не всегда принимают участие в массовых праздниках. Поэтому помимо такого массовой популяризации и проблемы сохранения тигра, да, очень важно еще уделять внимание непосредственно сельской местности. Вот, поэтому, конечно, в городах праздники хорошо, но нужно внедрять программы еще именно с фермерами и с сельскими жителями. И вот этот сейчас момент, который необходимо развивать, и я думаю, что тогда будет меньше конфликтов, связанных именно вот тигра и человека. Вот. Но просвещение детей – это всегда нужная, неотъемлемая часть.
Ekaterina suggests that Tiger Day festival takes place in the largest city of the region. So, but conflicts per se happen in the rural areas, far away from the cities. And so, despite it's a great idea to have such a festival, but we need to run this awareness campaign at a different level. So with work more with rural people.
Okay. So now we have many more other questions. So what we'll do, we'll send all the questions to our presenters, and then whatever the answers we'll get, we'll share with all our audience. So with this all, I'll really thank to all the presenters for their fabulous presentations, and also the panel discussion members, Mr. Hong Seung-moon and Dina, for attending this webinar series, and also thankful to all the presenters as well as the audience, those who are available now and attending this. Thank you all. So we'll connect again on October 22, which the session will be on the genetic management and how best your big cats can be restored using the genetic tools and techniques. So for this session, we'll share the webinar link shortly. By the time, see you. Bye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.